everyone. Thank you for taking the time off to join this webinar. We will now begin. I am June, the Marketing Manager at Adventus, and I will be your host for this webinar. Before I begin, if you were to hover your mouse to the bottom of the screen, you will see a Q&A button. So throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, just type your questions there, and we will address them later at the end of the webinar. Okay, so now here's the webinar agenda. It will start off with Hui Jun, who will give you an introduction on Adventus and what we do. Then we have Gushan, the Regional Account Executive from KnowBe4, who will cover how to secure the modern digital workforce. Then we'll have Conrad, the head of KnowBe4 Services at Adventus, who will be talking about Adventus Marriage Services. After that, we have an interactive quiz, so pay attention to everybody above, or mainly Gushan and Conrad. So because the top 3 winners of the quiz will walk away with Grab vouchers. And lastly, we have a Q&A session. So as I mentioned earlier, do make use of the Q&A button, and we will answer all your questions at the end after the quiz. Okay, so now I'll hand over to Hui Jun to give you a more in-depth discussion on Adventus. Hui Jun, the floor is yours.
Thank you, June. So let's start off with what is Adventus. So we are an ICT and cybersecurity solutions and services company that provides a wide range of products and services. We have more than 1,000 contractual customers, and we cater to a lot of different requirements that our customers may have. We have close to 500 employees, and we are serving our customers globally on a 24/7 basis. Sorry. We have offices across 14 countries and in 22 cities worldwide to provide our customers with on-site IT support. So namely in these 14 countries and 22 cities. So moving on to our awards and certifications. At Adventus, service excellence is our core focus. That's why we continuously strive to be a top-rated service provider. And this is evident in our Best IT Services Provider Award by Singapore Business Review. We've actually received this award for 9 consecutive years, all the way from 2018 to this year, 2026. We also have the Singapore Quality Class Star for Service Excellence. To ensure that what we are doing is of world-class standards, we have these different ISO certifications. Lastly, at Adventus, we believe that happy employees make happy customers. That's why we invest a lot in our employees to make sure that they are working happily in our company and hence serving our customers better. So this commitment is reflected in our HR awards that you can see over here. Next, here are our other certifications and licenses. So Adventus is actually one of the few companies in Singapore to be a CREST member. Our CREST certification covers penetration testing. We also have the Cyber Essentials mark. So this is a good indication of our commitment to robust cybersecurity practices. Moving on to our operating licenses. Our CSRO licenses enables us to provide a Security Operations Center, or SOC in short, as well as conduct penetration testing. So if you look below, our Security Service Provider license from the Singapore Police Force enables us to provide CCTV and door access services. And these IMDA licenses enables us to deliver SBO for both on-premises IP phone systems as well as cloud-based telephony solutions. We also deliver ESER for interactive display panels, as you can see over here. So here are some of the technology partners that we are working with. Basically, we have a very close working relationship with most of the big players in the market. Moving on, these are some of our clients. We serve a multitude of customers from SMEs to the big enterprise customers. So for example, we have Toyota, where we provide end user support for them. So we support around 800 computer users remotely and on site. We provide 24/7 dedicated remote help desk support for Pan Pacifics, around 3,900 users in over 50 properties across 14 countries. We provide firewall management for LBBW in Singapore, China, and Korea. And for KPMG, we do end user devices patch management for around 3,500 computers. Kose also outsourced their entire IT and cybersecurity department to us. And lastly, we provide M365 security administration for a listed financial institution who prefers to be unnamed. So today at Adventus, we have 8 very strong business pillars. So let me go a little bit more in depth into each of them. So firstly, we have end user support services. In short, we provide remote support, on-site support, and also staff augmentation where we place a headcount into our customer's environment. Next, we have cloud and on-premises and infrastructure services. So to summarize, we provide services such as infra monitoring, infra maintenance and support, infra upgrade and migration, manage network services, manage backup and disaster recovery services, as well as office and relocation. So when it comes to cybersecurity, this is where the operating licenses that you saw earlier in the slides come into play. So on top of SOC services and pen testing, we also provide solutions and services for endpoint protection for both end user devices and servers, as well as patch management, multi-factor authentication, vulnerability management, and also not forgetting our cybersecurity awareness and training services that Gushan and Conrad will share a little bit more on later. Next, we provide an unparalleled suite of Microsoft 365 managed services. So at a high level, our services include strategic consulting, Microsoft 365 migration, deployment and configuration, and even Microsoft 365 Intune management services. So for managed print services, we manage photocopiers and printers, and we have several cloud-based print solutions as well. Moving on to your office physical security, we provide solutions, consultancy services, and maintenance and support for your CCTV, door access systems, as well as smart interactive displays. For IP cloud telephony, our SBO license enables us to provide services for both on-premise IP phone systems as well as cloud-based telephony solutions. So this ensures flexibility to meet the different business requirements that many of our customers have. And last but not least, in terms of application software services, we provide services for ServiceNow and Microsoft 365 Microsoft Dynamics 365 CRM. So overall at Adventus, we have over 400 engineers in an extensive suite of ICT domains and disciplines, and we can cater to the various needs of our customers and clients. So from your end user computing engineers all the way to the CRM developers, each of these divisions comprises of engineers that specialize in their particular field. So our core capability is all about managing, in today's market, Adventus is strategically and uniquely positioned in the market because we are the only IT vendor that can do all of these solutions and services in-house. So from your CCTV to your door access to your cloud, as well as to your IP telephony. In the past, all of these were in separate networks, but today everything is linked and connected to each other. So for everything that you need, it is handled by our in-house engineers and not outsourced. So in a nutshell, Adventus can serve as your single point of contact in all of these areas. Sorry. So all in all, Adventus advocates a cloud-first and secure modern workplace. So firstly, We encourage our customers to migrate from on-premises Office Productivity Suite to Microsoft 365, which includes email, Teams, and OneDrive. And if you are still using on-premise email servers, we encourage migrating to Exchange Online. Next, in terms of identity management, we encourage migrating your on-premise AD to Microsoft Entra ID. We also recommend migrating from file servers to SharePoint, from CRM to Dynamics 365, as well as from your print servers to cloud. Next up, we have Azure, where we can actually help you to sign up different virtual servers. So on top of that, we can implement ZTNA as well as virtual firewall to protect your servers. So some servers that we can move include your ERP as well as your HRMS. To further enhance security, we also can build Azure virtual desktops, which are basically like computers in the cloud. Then we have EMS E5 cloud security monitoring. We usually deploy security solutions around these two platforms to tighten the security. So here's what we recommend. So for device-based conditional access, we recommend using Microsoft Intune along with Company Portal. And on end user devices, there should be endpoint protection in place. Next, once you migrate to Entra ID and Intune, we can deploy single sign-on for your cloud applications so that they can be further protected. And of course, we also recommend multi-factor authentication, patch management, and secure web gateway solutions, which is very important in today's hybrid work environments. Not forgetting vulnerability management solutions, spam filters, as well as having a strong backup and recovery in place. So moving on to the server side of things, there should also be endpoint protection, two-factor authentication with backup and disaster recovery infrastructure in place. So to wrap up my introduction, we will always recommend customers to adopt this blueprint for a more secure, flexible, and future-ready environment. Okay, so before we move on to the main topic, we would like to learn a little bit more about today's audience. So I'll be passing my time back to June now for the quick poll.
Okay, thank you, Hui Jun. So as mentioned, we have a poll for you guys now. Let me just launch it. Okay, you should see a pop-up on your screen. So you just need to select the answer that suits your company's cybersecurity awareness situation best. These results are also confidential. The other attendees cannot see it, so don't have to worry too much. But it's more for the speakers so that they can see the results and then they know the audience better. So I think it's around 50-50. Okay, 60%, 70% of you are using a cybersecurity training solution already. Then let's see. A lot of you mentioned that you don't have visibility into your human and technology risks. Okay, maybe I'll leave it here for 5 more seconds. Okay. So for the speakers, okay, I'll end poll first. For the speakers, I think you should be able to see the results lah. Okay, but then I'll also move on. Okay, so now I'll hand over to Gushan, the Regional Account Executive of KnowBe4, who will go more in-depth into how Adventus and KnowBe4 can help your organization strengthen security awareness, reduce human risks, as well as stay ahead of evolving cyber threats. So once again, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, just type your questions in the Q&A portion below, and we will address them later at the end of the webinar. Gushan, over to you.
All right, thank you, June. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen? All good?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to have all of you on our webinar today. I am Gulshan. I'm the Regional Account Executive with KnowBe4. A bit about myself here. I've been with KnowBe4 for about 3 years, and I work in the Singapore office to handle ASEAN markets. So Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, India, and some of the other regions, right? So in today's session, we'll be speaking about how we're looking to secure the modern digital workforce and how other companies are also looking at this as a whole, as part of the whole cybersecurity setup. Okay, so hold on. Yeah. So a bit about KnowBe4 here. We are currently working with more than 70,000 organizations across all industries around the world. And we have been in the market for more than 15 years right now. If we look at some of the other accreditations that we have, we are trusted by 47 out of the world's top 50 cybersecurity companies. And we also are recognized by the industry when it comes to Gartner, G2, Forrester Wave, and Trust Radius. In terms of the global presence of our workforce, our office, we are all over the world. As you can see, we have offices globally, but we have our headquarters is in the US. So our platform here, it's really not built on predictive technology theories like how some companies do it. It's really anchored by more than 15 years of human behavioral data, and we want to enable you to be able to track how your users interact with, say, sophisticated digital threats across all of your different work diverse cultures. Okay, so operating across Asia Pacific, across ASEAN, means navigating a very fragmented digital landscape, a very fragmented decentralized team, and a lot of regulation pressures, right? There's so many different ones out there. So traditional parameters, they have not just moved, but they have completely changed, say, over the past 5 years. And to maximize the value of all the business units, we want to look at dissecting the whole modern threat life cycle. Okay, we'll evaluate the new 2026 threat intelligence. We'll address some of the hidden liabilities of a hybrid human and AI workforce, and then also map out some practical paths for you. So by the time we close off this session, what you can take away here would be how do you then view human cyber resilience not as an IT overhead expense or responsibility, but more of a strategic shield as an organization to protect your interests. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this slide very quickly. If you want to, I don't know if that's possible for you to answer in the Q&A or what, but it's fine. Just think about how many devices you're using daily, how many softwares you're on daily, and how many platforms you're operating from daily. A lot, right? Generally a lot for work, for personal basis. Now, AI is everywhere within the things that we use daily. So when we look at some of the reports that we got, right, 68% of all data breaches or corporate data breaches involve from a human element, right? It comes from a human being. So despite knowing this fact, a lot of organizations still rely on very static warning banners or very compliance driven training modules. And it's a very traditional way of approaching. I'm just going to do my training once a year and then tick a box for audit. But in a high growth, high pace market in the ASEAN segment, where speed is prioritized most of the time, a lot of these tools that we're using don't blend in with all the noise that we hear, all the things that we see every day. Okay, and it doesn't keep up to the different threats that we also see every day. So I think the most expensive security stack in the world can be neutralized by a single employee. And that is one of the biggest problems that we see working with more than 70,000 customers out there. Okay. So IT and technology, we have grown, or maybe the industry have grown quite a lot, say, over the past decade. But we shouldn't also forget that cybercrime also had its own digital transformation if you must. So it's now fully automated, it's multi-channel, and it's very, very deeply rooted into most of the structures that we have built, right? So 86% of phishing attacks recently are now completely AI driven. Okay, they have not gone the traditional way of doing a phishing attack to most organizations. Now it's all by AI. Now, secondly, the threat actors here, the cyber attackers here, they have moved beyond the traditional inbox phishing. They're now also doing multi-channel, right? So we see a 41% spike in, say, Microsoft Teams and other sort of mediums. And last but not least, 30% of all the attacks that we saw in Q1 involve internal team impersonation. I pretend to be my CEO, I pretend to be my CFO. So the thing that we should be thinking about here is if nearly 1/3 of all the incoming threats look exactly like they're coming from your internal staff, internal members, right? How do we then enable your defense layer to overcome this problem? How do we then look at someone internally and say, can I trust you? So companies now, they're still debating this, right? Oh, how do we know that? How do we do this? What sort of policies do we come up with? What are the ethics behind using tools like this to overcome our problems? While that is happening, while companies are going back and forth in their boardrooms about it, these cyber attackers, they don't wait, right? They have optimized and operationalized all of these things that you guys are debating in the boardroom as an attack. So we also got a report from Gartner recently saying that by 2028, okay, that's like 2 years from now, barely 2 years from now, 22% of cyber attacks and corporate data leaks will involve generative AI. Okay, so if we look at some of the trends that we see in phishing in 2026, we look at polymorphic phishing attacks, obfuscation, compromised accounts, and using AI in general. So how are they doing this? They study your supply chain accounts, they compromise your supply chain accounts, they study your historical email threads, and they use all of this information to provide a more localized communication payload without a single error. Okay. And if the cyber attackers are using these machines to attack your companies, and you are still using human detection, you're going to hope on your users to report the emails for you, send a screenshot to IT and say, hey, if this is okay. In this world that we live in, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, right? What your output would be and the input would be very, very different. So the next slide is, I'm going to leave you guys 10 seconds to just read some of these articles that we've put together. Okay, I'm just going to leave you to it for a while. Okay, if we take a look at what's on the board here, right? None of these companies wanted to tell themselves, I'm going to wake up to my company being on the news and becoming a public case study. Nobody wants that. Okay, and if we take a deeper dive into some of these articles and if we look beyond some of the technical jargons that we see on the news, right, what we are seeing here is really a financial, regulatory, and reputational fallout. So why is this happening? Most of the times, based on all the data that we see, is because of a compromised human layer. You have the best stacks, you have the best softwares, you have everything, but one of the employee does something wrong, it compromises the whole entire organization. So in Asia Pacific, in the ecosystem that we have, a single breach, for example, in Singapore terms, right, PDPA becomes a very big issue. And then your operations has to freeze, your global supply chain gets knocked down. So when we look at these headlines here, we shouldn't be looking at it as an abstract IT incident or an isolated IC incident, but I think it's really more of a loss in your own market capitalization, your own market leverage that you could have prevented in the first place. Now, when we speak about phishing and the frequency and the quality of these attacks, right? Some of the data points that you see here, more than 60% of the AI automated phishing 60% of the victims fell to AI automated phishing. AI has reduced the cost of phishing by 95%, and they are using large language models to generate this sort of content. So if you think of it in the past, I'm just going to use a very ancient term, like Nigerian prince, please send me $20,000 to my bank account. That no longer exists. Okay, an attacker who was writing emails manually, who didn't know how to spell certain words, or didn't know how to write in a certain language, they have all been given a new voice by these AI tools, right? So now they can send out polymorphic phishing attacks. They can copyright your emails. They can understand your whole company's history, whole company supply chain, and send emails out in any languages at any time to anyone. And the problem here is that sometimes when we look at all of these things, we cannot tell, one look, we cannot tell if that's an actual phishing email or not. So digital communication now becomes a bit more indistinguishable from real corporate emails. So now your question would be, how do I then get all of my employees in the company, right, to be able to detect, to be able to understand, and to prevent them from interacting with these emails or interacting with these threats? So what do they now see, or what do we now see as a trend? When it comes to the personalization, like I mentioned, the days of just broad mass sending emails are over. Maybe all the things that we used to know about what a phishing emails are done no longer exists. The average phishing campaign that a cyber attacker needs to do right now is just 1.8 emails. Out of every email, 1.8 emails can be attacked. So what does this tell you? It's a targeted strike. They just don't spray and pay anymore, right? They will use automatic scrapers. They will ingest role-specific metadata from your organization. They will understand all of the vendors that you work with. They will understand who's working where, who's working with who, what are you doing. You have a new office somewhere. So all of your legacy, maybe secure email gateways or your legacy mail exchange setup and all of that, they will miss this because there is no, say, mass campaign signature to flag, right? Because most of the softwares that we use now are very rule based. Or this has to happen before we flag out an email. This has to happen before Microsoft quarantines the email. But the cyber attackers know this. They know how to bypass all of this, right? So now the question would be, okay, if these things can bypass my inbox, what can I do from a product or software standpoint to then detect all of these missed emails, all of these uniquely engineered emails, to ensure that somebody in my team doesn't react to those? Okay. Leading on from there as well, the operational impact of, say, having an AI or deepfake within an email makes you question your next steps. And I say makes you question your next steps. Consider this, right? You receive an AI generated video from your CFO asking you to bypass procurement because of a urgent transaction that the company needs to authorize, and you are a finance manager. So now it gets hard because your boss is telling you to do one thing, and then now you're questioning your own authority. Or can I really do it? Is he really my boss? And then the other problem comes here in Asia, right? Directly challenging a senior executive order is culturally difficult. We don't usually tell our bosses no. And the cyber attackers know this as well. We've heard from many companies out there, oh, I receive a voice note from my boss. I receive an email from my boss, a spoof video from my boss telling me to do certain things. And this tactic within our region, incredibly dangerous because the cyber attackers know that we rarely say no to this sort of request. So if an external attacker can clone your executive's voice in real time, right? Your question would be, within the board, what sort of playbook do you currently have within your team, your InfoSec team, your IT team, to then manage this problem? How do we then manage this behavioral problem? How do we then manage this technical problem? And it's not a bad thing, but some people, they don't know where to start, and that's fine. And that's why we're on the call today, because we want to understand what can we do around it, right? I think the danger here would be not acknowledging that these problems exist, and also not having a defined playbook for how to get around this problem. And that's when KnowBe4 would come in, which I will address in a while. So The other pressing question here would be, when we speak about IT and InfoSec responsibility, right? Let's say you have an employee count of 500 users in your company and you have 10 people in your IT team. I'm very confident if I go to 490 people in the company and ask them, hey, when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to information security, who's the person responsible? I think 490 people will say, that's my IT team's problem. That's not my problem. But the issue here is that in this current modern workforce, that defensive gap is becoming wider because nobody really wants to say that this is my work or this is my responsibility. It's supposed to be a cohesive responsibility for everyone, and we rely a lot on our stacks, on our tools, which sometimes just doesn't keep up to the trends. So what we usually recommend for a lot of the companies that we work with would be, when we come in and when we work with partners like Adventus, we first want to set up a baseline culture, right? Okay, like a poll, who's managing IT, who's managing InfoSec. If the company feels like this is an IT problem, how do we then get the rest of the workforce to have that same belief? How do we then get the workforce to understand that this is a company-wide problem? Okay, and now with the new threats around AI and all of that, we have to get together as one. So security that was built for an organization most of the time right now has been built many, many years ago, and it was built for a workforce that no longer exists. Okay, the enterprise security that we see right now probably wouldn't be relevant as of 2 years ago. So legacy tools, legacy training, legacy compliance frameworks is now overridden by the new AI problem that we have. We have agents that can access emails. We have agents that can send emails. We have automated training that can take care of all of this. And we have systems that can make a choice without a human being intervening with it. So I give an example. Let's say an employee clicks on a phishing email. Traditionally, what you would do is you will call that employee, have a chat with them and say, hey, you clicked on a phishing email. I'm going to send you this training, 20 slide PowerPoint. Read it, understand it, digest it, and don't do it again. That's a very traditional approach and what most of us are doing. So here at KnowBe4, we want to enable and empower you to make certain changes within your organization using a software like KnowBe4 to then automate this process for you, right? So companies like Adventus, they can also come in to help us manage and understand where the workforce is having a gap with, advise the leaders that we work with, use the softwares that we have, and then come up with a plan to override what security frameworks that you have created 5 years ago that's no longer relevant. Okay, so yeah, this one I can skip a bit. So what makes up KnowBe4 and how companies are utilizing KnowBe4 as a platform? So we start with the baseline here, right? KnowBe4 is a platform that provides human risk management. Okay, most of the companies that do security awareness training, most of the companies that provide cybersecurity training, they measure completion. Okay, I repeat again. Yeah? Most of the companies that are in the market right now, they measure completion. That means they will go to you with a report that says 100 employees have been enrolled in training, 30 employees have clicked on a phishing test, and out of 30 employees, 15 employees have done their training. That's your report. Use it, take it how you want to do it. It's up to you. But I know before we do it a bit differently, we have something called the risk score. I want to be able to present a risk report to the board, to the managers, to the team to understand where the actual problem is. So I wouldn't just want to measure completion. I want to measure your behaviors, your, what do you call that? Employees' behaviors as well. I can go to the CTO, I can go to the CISO and say, I'm seeing a problem within this department around this particular subject, around this particular topic. These are the 3 things that we need to do to overcome this problem. Now let's orchestrate it on the platform. So we can automate this whole process using some of our AI defense agents. We can run phishing tests, we can run training, we can run remedial training, we can create modules, we can create content, all for your users based on the risk score behaviors that we see. And these are the three subsegments of what makes up KnowBe4 as a platform. So on the left here, you will see the attack simulation side, right? So this is where the traditional bread and butter of KnowBe4 comes in. Security awareness training, threat simulation, where we send phishing emails, and then real-time coaching. If, for example, somebody violates your DLP rule, somebody clicks on a phishing email, somebody opens up a link, we can send training automatically. And then when it comes to compliance as well, a lot of companies, they require compliance training, say PDPA, GDPR, HIPAA, PII, but they don't really have a framework around it, or they don't really have the means to do it, right? But we also provide compliance modules to you. And then on the collaborative security side, we also can do cloud email security now. So we have inbound, outbound, email encryption, and also incident response. And then last but not least is the agent security, which is not fully rolled out yet, but it's coming to basically look at things like shadow AI, information controls, and risk detection. Okay, so this pyramid makes up what KnowBe4 is as a company. But I think for most of us here, we would just want to get our feet wet, understand the platform, and understand that, okay, now I have a tool that can help me framework my training, help me framework my phishing, and that's where KnowBe4 and Adventus comes in together for you. Okay, so in a place where there are a lot of players, right? In this industry, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of vendors out there. What we usually see, or what we usually hear from a lot of the leaders, would be the only metric that matters to the board and leadership would be, what is the sustained operational impact? Okay, what does this mean for my company in the next 1 to 3 years? How would things change for me in the 1 to 3 years, right? How do we then present this information to my board? So we define our metrics, our reports, by global data, by organizations deploying this architecture, and then looking at all the different reports that we get of them. So we can see things like other companies can reduce their phish-prone percentage, their initial phishing baseline percentage, to less than 5% in 12 months. And then we also can see that some companies, with the automation, they react 4.7 times faster to threat response. And then on an overall, they see 40% of their employees reducing their security incidents in general. So this is some of the metrics that you want to present as a leader to your board, and understand that we just don't come in to complete your training or do your phishing test, right? We want to ensure that in the long run, this is what you can present to your auditors. This is what you can confidently go to your auditors and say, hey, with this deployed, I have managed to reduce all of this. I've managed to increase productivity on different fronts of the organization. So it's not really just an IT metric here, right? It's really an uptime, revenue, and regional market trust for most of the organizations here. So coming to the end here, but I think what I'll close with is, when we speak about cyber resilience, right? It's not static. It's not you just come to one place or come to one software and then expect things. It's not a silver bullet. It's a constant state of operational readiness. It changes over time. It moves very quickly. So we want to work with a software that comes up with all of these new initiatives. We want to work with a company that understand these threats, have been in the industry, and work with a lot of these leaders, have these leaders onboarded with us in our strategic leadership, and really just align and assign ourselves to you to protect your organization, right? So I think I will leave it for here. We're probably open for questions, I think Q&A, and then see where your biggest blind spot is for your organization.
Okay, now let's welcome Conrad, the head of KnowBe4 services at Adventus, who will go through the Adventus managed services. You're muted.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, Zoom hit my mute button. All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Conrad, and I run the customer success department here and one of the products that under our ownership here is the KnowBe4 platform. So I'll be sharing a little bit more about KnowBe4 in just a short bit, but I want to start this off with something I saw actually on social media. Um, as you all know, the RSA conference happened in San Francisco recently. So PC Mag, this social media platform news outlet for anything technology related, they went around and they asked cybersecurity experts, what is the biggest threat in 2026? Some answered AI, others said phishing. Some even pointed over to shadow AI, which Gushan shared a little bit about earlier. And a few people said people. They're all different answers and different perspectives on the situation of where the cybersecurity threat landscape is like in 2026 and coming up in the next few years. But here's what they missed. They're essentially all the same answer because none of these threats do exist in isolation. For example, AI does not act on its own. Someone has to use it, trust it, prompt it. Phishing doesn't work unless someone clicks on it. And shadow AI isn't rogue technology, as we all hear and have this negative connotation about. It's about people finding faster ways to get their job done. So every attack, every breach, every risk essentially passes through a human being. And yet, look at how we invest our budget for IT spend. We pour resources into securing devices through managed device management platforms like Intune, so on and so forth. So we harden systems here. We follow CIS benchmarking for our laptops. We layer controls on top of endpoints, Zscaler, which is like for secure web gateway, CrowdStrike, Proofpoint, KnowBe4. All these platforms all come in, and then how do you actually train that person to use that device? We actually, like what Gushan said, the traditional method, which I'll share a bit more later, is people give them short training once a year and hope for the best. It's like building a fortress and leaving the front gate wide open. So here's the shift. The human is not the weakest link. The human is the target and the greatest opportunity to exploit. So we need to stop treating people as a problem to control and start enabling them as a line of defense. Through continuous awareness, realistic phishing simulations, and a culture where people feel safe to report and learn. And that's when behavior changes. That's when risk drops. And that's what human risk management is about, not technology first, people first. So today, I'll go through how Adventus and KnowBe4 can address the challenges that your organizations are facing today. So with this, the Adventus Cybersecurity and Awareness Training Platform that is organized by our team here, we essentially look at what the challenges of what organizations are facing. So number one, as mentioned, there's no structured cybersecurity awareness for computer users and employees. A lot of times, which Gushan did share, there's non-compliance with cybersecurity guidelines, with HIPAA, MES, TRM, so on and so forth. Traditional training methods with human trainers are expensive and difficult to coordinate and execute. You're unable to identify the high-risk computer users from there. Why? Because you attend the training, you sign off attendance, and that's it. So there's no single source of truth on managing risk. You're unable to identify who or what is most at risk. They're all running in isolation, all your technology stack. And there's no safe AI usage policy on how to manage risk from AI tools operating outside of your security parameters like shadow AI. So that's where we come in. Adventus recommends KnowBe4, where we find the right training, that right human behavior change for your organization. Their platform, I won't talk too much about it. Gushan shared quite a length about this. It's a unified platform essentially to secure the digital workforce. For example, when a new employee joins the company, an email is sent to them to watch curated cybersecurity videos. All this progress is tracked. if they don't complete, you can get your emails. Emails can be sent to their supervisors, HR. This is to fulfill their onboarding journey. We also send new users, all users, new videos anytime there is new threats in the industry, anytime the module from the mod store or where all the training modules are from KnowBe4 are launched, and talk about new cyber hygiene practices. And the platform also has like phishing tests. So what we do at Adventus is to help administrate things for you. We'll deploy your organization into the KnowBe4 platform using either your Active Directory, or more commonly these days we see Microsoft Entra ID or Google Cloud Identity. And we help to add in new hires anytime they come in, it will sync, and then they're automatically onboarded into the platform. So we will help to curate phishing templates, security trainings, all this from our end while working with you and giving you the best practices. So with this, we structure it into two different platform types or two different contract types. So we are very focused in each aspect. One being the platform support services, where today we help build up everything. So the add, delete, change, configure, manage the baseline configuration for your organization, having the logos all up there. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. We also help update the security training materials. So as time goes on, there will be some training materials or modules that will be deprecated. So we help to ingest in the new trainings and also develop automation to help identify and lower the risk based on the user profile. And all this is tracked. So administrators will help be able to have a single source of truth for what is happening on this particular employee, and then be able to then, like what Gushan said, give that report to management about how we can reduce risk or who are the high-risk people in your organization. So we also have the phishing campaign services, where we help conduct phishing campaigns by firstly curating bespoke campaigns for your organization based on best practices. We look, as a cybersecurity company as well, we look at what is the modern type of threats that are coming out, and we help with the platform of KnowBe4 to develop and curate specific real-life examples of what is actually being faced by customers. As an MSP, we do see various range of attack types, and we translate real-life examples into training materials. So basically, it's a constant cycle, right? We need to curate it, launch it, train the employees, to find out who are the high-risk people or high-risk people in your organization, get that notified to the organization, send them for automated trainings, so on and so forth. So this is a constant cycle where we will constantly work with your organization to develop the right solution for you guys. So we'll even deploy this thing called the PAB from KnowBe4. It's a fish alert button. Essentially, it replaces the native defender. This is to really segregate and identify if the users are indeed clicking on simulated phishing tests conducted by IT, or they're actually clicking onto real emails, or they're reporting as well. So all this is to get them to report and identify if they reported well, and be able to get that right report findings to management, and then send them for training. So the methodology behind this is pretty straight up. I spoke about it earlier, and I think Gushan did tap on it a little bit. Like the traditional security awareness training is, you watch this, you attend a training, take a short quiz, get the attendance mark. Okay, thank you, bye. And I forget about it when I leave. And it does not translate into action. So this is where we come in. We're looking at human risk management or behavioral change. We want to detect risky behaviors and vulnerabilities across the organization from the human risk perspective, assess these risk levels, do targeted training, reinforce and engage, and from there, monitor and improve your organization, your employees as a whole. So therefore, our goal is to effect behavioral change. The onboarding journey is really quite straightforward. There will be a structured training curriculum where we first send out KnowBe4's SAPA, or Security Awareness Proficiency Assessment, and then we do all those things I mentioned earlier. And it's a cycle. It's a continuous thing. And then from administrative point of view, we help evaluate what can be done better for your organization, who needs to be focused on, so on and so forth. And we'll provide all these periodic reports to your organization. So all this comes in as a monthly fee, and it's a subscription-based payment for both the license and the services. So if you'd like to know more about the costing, please look for your enterprise account manager. They are in the webinar today. Please reach out to them if you're interested to know more about the pricing. So before we go into the quiz, I would like to leave it off with something that, brings us back to where we started. I asked earlier, what is the biggest security threat? Is it AI phishing, shadow AI, or humans? So it's not about the technology here. Just remember, it's about the moment the human interacts with it. Because every attack comes from either an intentional or unintentional decision on an employee, a click, a moment of trust, and that really means something powerful. If the risk is human, then the defense can be human too. So the question is not, how do we eliminate human error? It is, how do we empower human judgment? Because organizations who win in cybersecurity won't be the ones with the most tools. They'll be the ones where every employee, from every email open, every link click, every report submitted, becomes part of a defense system. And that's the shift I hope you take away today. So don't just secure systems here, build people who can outthink the threat, because that is the strongest defense for your organization. Thank you. So over to you, Jun.
Thanks, Conrad. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. It's time for the interactive quiz. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a game here for you guys, and there will be prizes to be won. So let me move on to the next slide. Okay, I just need you guys to join via this QR code. Or you can go to menti.com and then key in this 8-digit number. Okay, move on first. I'll tell you about the code is still here if you guys need. Okay, but just to let you know, how to win will be you have to answer the most number of correct answers the fastest. So if you answer, let's say, we only have 5 questions here. So if let's say you answer all 5 of them correctly and the fastest, then you will win the top 3 prizes. So these are our top 3 prizes. For first prize, if you win first on the leaderboard, you will get a 50 Sing dollar or 2,000 pesos Grab voucher. Then for second prize, you will get a 30 Sing dollar or 1,200 pesos Grab voucher. I mean, because we have a lot of attendees from Philippines and Singapore. So that's why I'm just listing this down first. Yeah. Then for third prize, you will get a 20 Sing dollars Grab voucher. Okay, so if you guys haven't scanned, please scan it first, the QR code here. I think it's stopped already. Okay, so, one more. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide. Over here, right, can you all look at your phone? So on your phone, it will ask you to rename yourselves. So please indicate your full name, like your first name and your last name. Because if you were to win, this is how we identify you, with your first and your last name. I do see a few people with the same names lah. So it's best to put your first and last name in. Okay, so just give you some time to rename yourselves. On some music first. Okay, are you guys ready? Okay, then after you rename, press join quiz lah. Yeah, so on your phone, it should say get ready to play. Okay? Okay, so here's the first question. Remember to answer quickly and answer correctly. According to KnowBe4's latest threat research, what percentage of phishing attacks are now AI driven? Is it 45, 62, 86, or 95? So there are a lot of AI-driven phishing attacks now, actually. 4 seconds left to answer if you haven't. Okay, most of you answered it correctly. The correct answer is 86%. Okay, so let's look at the leaderboard. So who is IP? Who is SR? Okay, so now we have Zachariah leading, followed by Celeste and Liana. So there are still 4 more questions, so the leaderboard might change. I'll move on to the next question first. If your phone is already locked, make sure you unlock it. Okay, and you should see Get Ready to Play question 2 of 5 on your phone. Okay, so this is the next question. Remember to answer quickly to get more points. In the context of today's enterprise security, what makes up the modern digital workforce? Is it in-office employees and remote workers? Is it full-time staff and third-party contractors? IT personnel and automated software patches? Or human employees and autonomous AI agents? 3 seconds left to answer. Okay, most of you got it correct. So it is human employees and autonomous AI agents. Yeah, so let's move on to the leaderboard. The top 3, are you guys still there or did you move? I think Liana is still up there. Oh, okay. IP, I don't know who you are though. Okay, moving on to the next question. 3 questions left, so leaderboard might still change, so it's okay. Okay, make sure your phone is unlocked. You should see Get Ready to Play on your phone. I think 2 more, right? Unlock your phones. Okay, 3rd question, moving on. Okay, what is the primary goal of implementing KnowBe4 security awareness training? Is it to completely replace standard network firewalls? Or is it to monitor employee internet browsing speeds? Or to reduce human and AI risks by driving smart security behaviors? Or the last one, to manually review every incoming corporate email? Oh wow, everybody got it correct. Oh, this is good. Nice. Okay, so it's a matter of who answered faster. Diana still up there. Yeah, and we have Azel and followed by, I don't know who you are, IP. Okay, question 4. Make sure your phone is unlocked. Yeah. Gonna start. This is the second last question. How does Adventus support customers as a KnowBe4 administrator? So 4 options. Is it by providing physical training annually to organizations? Or by managing strategic cybersecurity and behavioral change initiative? Or by outsourcing all training responsibilities to HR? Or by providing a one-time platform setup? Okay, most of you got it correct. Yes. Okay, look at the leaderboard now. Diana and IP and Alpheus, I think. Yes. Okay. Next will be the last question. Okay, are you guys ready for the last question? Make sure your phones are unlocked. Okay, starting now. Okay, as a content owner and managed service provider, what does Adventus do to enhance security training? Do we limit training content? Do we send phishing emails without analyzing results? Do we continuously update cybersecurity training? Or do we leave users to do things by yourself? I think this is quite easy. Okay, most of you, everybody got it correct. Okay, so this will be the final leaderboard. Let's see who are the top 3 winners who walk away with bread vouchers. Okay. Oh, IP, can you screenshot your phone and then send it to me because we don't know who you are. Yeah, so we have Liana first, followed by IP, followed by Syed Rahman. If IP don't come to me, then Alpheus will be the 3rd, then Rahman will be 2nd. Okay, so but now, yeah, this is the leaderboard lah. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. Okay, so now we overrun a bit. So if you guys still have time, you can stay. This is Q&A now. Maybe I'll just ask a couple of questions that we have in the Q&A portion. Okay, let me just share my screen, yeah? And I'll paste the questions over. Okay. Okay, so first question. Since traditional SIEM and DLP tools are often blind to shadow AI and unauthorized agent usage, how does the agent risk manager proactively discover these tools in a tenant without requiring manual configuration or heavy administrative lifting?
Right. So, hello everyone, this is Kaiping, Channel SE for the APEC. So, sorry for that. I will actually take this question. So, okay, when we talk about traditional SIEM and DRP, which also in a way you mean there's a traffic to go through these two things, right? In order to, you can see the shadow AI that's running behind the scene. While the user is actually running with their own mobile, where they can also, I mean, nowadays people actually log in with their own application, right? In their iPhone or Android phone as well. So the difference between us for agent risk measures, we actually integration with the, let's say, ChatGPT, we integrate with that directly. So in or Gemini. So when your employee actually log in using their own company email, we are actually able to actually intercept them and then coach the user when there's a risky conversation that's involved. Yeah. So that's how we actually differentiate ourselves. We are actually in the application layer compared to we need some sort of traffic that pass through the SIM or the LP2. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just want to add on for this over here. So yes, it's tough to identify shadow AI, traditional DLP tools, SIEM, products do not really have that capabilities as of yet. And this is what a lot of organizations are facing today. So I think this is it's also a bigger question here. How are you currently managing your DLP and SIEM? What tools you're using? Because there's a lot of availability out there. So for example, if you're already currently on Microsoft 365 stack, you can leverage on both KnowBe4 and the Microsoft stack, like such as Purview to really holistically look at your organization's environment and be able to identify these things or even stop them from being used. So if you'd like to know more about this, because this is quite an in-depth discussion, I believe this came from Gil Junior Villameta. So if you're really interested to know about this, and we can talk at length about this, please reach out to your account manager and we'll get your account manager to reach out to you too, so that we can address this question in depth. Yeah, because due to lack of time, this could be a 1 hour conversation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll just ask this last question. Then, yeah, okay. The rest of the questions, right, if it's not being addressed at the end of the webinar, when your account managers reach out to you, you can always ask them again, lah. But then this will be the last question for today. So, hello, are you guys able to support multiple languages?
Yes, we are. So the platform has that capabilities to support multiple languages as well. Depending on the language, if you're giving a very Creole type of language, then that may be a problem, but we can work with you to ensure that those training platforms, the training modules do support it. Yeah. So if you're keen to know more, please reach out to your Adventus account manager so that we can give you the correct answer and address this accordingly.
Okay, so before I end off, right, we actually have a feedback form here for you guys to fill up. If let's say you require a copy of today's webinar, then just fill up question 9 on this feedback form. Then we will send the recording over to you. If not, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. It's at Adventus-IT. The webinar is also streamed over there, lah. Okay, so to end off this webinar, I would like to thank our speakers Gushan from KnowBe4, as well as Conrad and Huijun from Adventus, and also thank everyone of you for joining us today. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Bye-bye. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.